Okay, if I say the name 5 centimeters per second, that 2007 classic film, I'm guessing the first thing that probably comes to mind is, distance, maybe snow, and just this beautiful, but kind of crushing sense of loss, right?
Absolutely. For almost 2 decades now, it's been seen as this iconic story of heartbreak, modern melancholy.
It really has. It
Yeah.
nails that feeling of two people who care about each other but just drift apart because of time and space,
Mhm.
not because anyone's the bad guy.
Exactly. And most people, especially maybe viewers in the West, see that final scene at the railroad crossing as the ultimate gut punch, the big missed connection.
Right, the tragedy. But hang on to that thought, because today we're doing a deep dive into a really fascinating piece of Japanese commentary. It's just one source, but it argues pretty definitively that we've all got the ending wrong.
Hmm.
Yeah, our mission today is to figure out why this analyst is so convinced that those final moments are actually a profoundly happy ending.
That's quite a take. It basically redefines happiness in the context of the film. This source says it's not about external events like Takaki and Akari getting back together.
Not at all.
Nope. It argues the real measure of success here is internal progress, specifically Takaki's emotional growth. So if you see the film as being about his journey to maturity rather than just a doomed romance, the ending completely changes meaning.
Wow, okay. That is a huge reframing. It
Yeah.
kind of challenges what most people feel is the core message.
Hmm.
All right, let's unpack this. We absolutely have to start with that famous final scene, the railroad crossing. Because according to this analysis, everything turns on a detail that most people probably just see as sad.
Right. Let's walk through it carefully. So, Takaki, he's an adult now. He stops at a crossing. Train's coming. As the cars are rushing past, he sees someone on the other side.
A woman who looks just like Akari.
Exactly. It's quick, it's symbolic, super emotionally loaded. You feel that moment of potential recognition.
Yeah, and then the train passes. And this is where the usual interpretation kicks in.
Mhm.
Taki looks back, hoping to see her, maybe confirm it was her, but she's gone.
She's gone. And the audience usually feels that sinking feeling. That's the moment, right? The final confirmation he missed her, missed his chance. Tragedy.
But this source says, hold on.
Exactly. It says, treat this like analyzing a stage play. Focus only on Takaki's expression. Ignore what you expect to feel. Yes, there's maybe a flicker of sadness or disappointment, maybe just acknowledging she's not part of his life anymore. But that shadow, it vanishes almost instantly.
Vanishes. And what replaces it?
This is the core claim. He looks forward and smiles. And the source is really insistent it's not a sad smile, not nostalgic. It's described as a positive, almost determined smile.
A positive smile. Okay, if that's true, that changes everything. But couldn't that just be, reading too much into it? Isn't the beauty of the film in that lingering sadness, that attachment? Are we sort of losing something essential by saying, oh, he's fine now?
That's a fair question.
What exactly is in that smile that makes it a victory, according to this analysis, and not just him giving up?
Right, and that's where the analysis gets really specific. It argues that smile isn't just resignation. It's the result of 3 specific positive emotional things coming together inside him, finally breaking him out of that rut he's been in.
Okay, 3 things. Let's break those down. What's the first one?
Component 1 is simply continued affection. He still feels warmth, good feelings towards Akari. The memory isn't bitter. The relationship wasn't, a waste. That positive memory is the foundation.
Okay, so affection is still there. That makes sense. What's the second layer? What moves it beyond just looking back fondly?
The second component is described as a deep sense of relief, maybe even satisfaction. Seeing that figure, maybe sensing in that instant that she's okay, that she's living her life. It frees him. It releases an anxiety he might not have even known he was carrying.
Like he doesn't need to worry about her anymore.
Sort of, yeah. That subconscious need to kind of watch over the memory or the idea of her is fulfilled. He sees she's moved forward, so his sort of emotional duty to that past moment is done, paid in full.
That's interesting. So he's not sad for her. He's satisfied by her apparent well-being, which then frees him. Okay. And the third component. This must be the key for the happy ending idea.
This is the kicker. It's positive determination. A positive heart, as the source puts it. It's the feeling that lets him finally turn and actually move forward with his own life, unburdened. The realization that Akari has definitely moved on is what clicks inside him, making him realize he can too. He's no longer trapped by that memory from when they were kids.
So the analysis is really pushing back against the idea that love has to mean ending up together forever. The source actually asks that, right? Like, is love only defined by spending your lives together?
Exactly. And the answer presented is a clear no. The real value isn't the reunion, it's the personal growth you got from knowing that person in the first place.
Okay, that makes his growth the central plot, not the romance.
Precisely. And to really hammer this home, the source spends a lot of time arguing that Takaki was always lagging behind Akari emotionally and spiritually. The whole happy ending relies on the idea that Akari was consistently more mature, always kind of steps ahead of him.
Oh, okay. So his long period of being stuck wasn't just sad fate. It was partly because he hadn't caught up to her level of understanding.
That's the argument. It recasts his stagnation.
Mhm.
And the source brings evidence, tracing it chronologically.
Right, let's look at that evidence. Where does it start?
Way back in early childhood. Remember when Akari finds out her family is moving? Big, stressful news for a kid. But who delivers the news?
Akari does. She tells Takaki.
Right. She handles the communication that's presented as the more adult action in that situation.
Mhm.
And Takaki's response...
He gets upset. He sulks, basically.
He pouts, yeah. Retreats into himself. The source suggests Akari's quietness then isn't just sadness. It's her observing his reaction, already sensing maybe a difference in how they handle things.
Okay, fast forward to the big meeting, the train journey in the snow, that first chapter. The contrast there feels pretty stark even without this analysis.
It really is. Akari gets there early, waits for hours, patiently, in the cold. And importantly, she made him a lunchbox. She planned ahead, she was thinking about his comfort, showing stability despite everything.
Yeah, she was prepared. And Takaki. He shows up late, exhausted, a bit of a mess from the journey. The source points out he was totally focused on the external problems, the snow, the delays.
Right, and that leads straight to the letters. This is maybe the most compelling point the source makes about their differing maturity even then. Takaki wrote a letter, poured his heart out.
But he lost it in the wind. He couldn't give it to her because of external factors.
Exactly, he couldn't. It was taken from him. But Akari, she also had a letter.
But she didn't give it to him.
Precisely, she chose not to. The source really emphasizes this. She made a conscious decision. She looked at the reality. They were kids. They were going to be incredibly far apart and decided that holding on to that letter, maybe making promises, just wasn't realistic. It might even be painful later.
Wow, that's incredibly mature for a 13-year-old. To choose realism over the immediate emotional comfort of exchanging letters.
Isn't it? The source argues that Akari, even then, had sort of accepted the reality of the situation and closed the door on that specific future, not because she didn't care, but because she understood it wasn't feasible.
And that acceptance let her start moving forward much sooner.
While Takaki remains stuck on the idea of the reunion, the lost letter, the tragedy of it all, mentally, he stayed at that snowy station.
Okay, this framing really does explain his next decade or so of, well, being stuck. Let's jump to high school, the second part of the film. He's clearly still hung up on Akari.
Totally. We see another girl, Kane, who obviously has strong feelings for him. She's right there, present, trying to connect. But Takaki, he's so lost in this idealized memory of Akari, he barely even notices Kane.
It's not malicious. He just can't see her. He's got blinders on.
Exactly. He's living in the past. And meanwhile, what do we glimpse of Akari during that same time period?
There's that brief shot walking home with someone.
Yeah, the source points to that and says, look, she appears to be walking with a boyfriend. She's dating. She's forming new connections, engaging with her current life, moving on to the next stage. She didn't wait.
Okay, the gap widens. And this continues right into adulthood, the third chapter. Akari takes the big step.
She gets married. A clear commitment to a future path, completely separate from Takaki.
And Takaki in adulthood, still kind of drifting.
Yep. He quits his job, seems nostalgic and unhappy, generally sulky, as the source puts it, about where he's ended up. Still seems weighed down by the past, unable to form lasting connections.
It's like he's still punishing himself for what happened when he was a kid. Living life in slow motion. Maybe. 5 centimeters per second.
Huh, maybe. While Akari's been moving much faster. And that brings us back, full circle, to why that final scene, that smile, is presented as such a massive breakthrough by this source.
Because it's the moment he finally speeds up.
It's the moment he finally chooses to move forward, seeing that figure, realizing she's gone, being okay with it, holding that positive heart and smiling. That's him accepting her separate path, and in doing so, finally claiming his own future.
So the argument isn't just that the smile looks positive. It's that it represents him finally reaching the emotional place Akari reached years, maybe decades earlier.
That is the absolute core of it. The commentator has this famous line calling it the 5 centimeters per second Takaki catching up to Akari mentally. In that instant, he closes the gap. He goes from sulking about the past to being ready for his own future.
Okay, now it's getting really interesting. Because if you buy into this interpretation, the ending isn't sad at all. It's only sad if you think the goal was for them to get together.
Right.
But if you see it like this source does, as Takaki's internal journey towards becoming a functional, forward-looking adult, then him finally getting there, signified by that smile, is a huge win. It's an emotional victory. He didn't lose Akari in that moment. He finally gained himself.
So yeah, summing up the source's main point, the happy ending isn't about reunion. It's about Takaki finally achieving the emotional growth he needed to move on. Seeing Akari, or the symbol of her moving forward, was the catalyst he needed. He's free because he accepted her happiness was independent of his.
It really does challenge that standard movie idea that fulfillment equals resolution, like getting the girl or achieving the external goal. Here, fulfillment is internal progress, becoming whole.
Exactly. The goal wasn't the kiss or the marriage with Akari. The goal was just becoming an adult capable of looking ahead and smiling no matter who is or isn't on the other side of those tracks.
Wow. Okay. That definitely gives us something to think about.
And maybe it leaves you, the listener, with a question to chew on. If growth is the real happy ending, where in your own life might a passing train something you thought was a loss actually be a sign of positive freedom, a chance to finally move forward?
Where are you maybe finally catching up to the reality that's been waiting for you? A powerful thought to end on.